All right, I like to start these by obviously saying welcome to the show. It's a little different setup than the studio, but welcome to the show, and I'm excited to talk to you. I've heard a lot about you.
Hopefully it's good things.
Oh yeah, lots of good things. Start off just telling me a little bit about where you're from.
So I'm originally from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I'm born and raised up there. Born in Coeur d'Alene, and then we moved shortly after that up to Priest Lake, Idaho, Priest River area.
So what's Idaho like as a state?
Up there is really nice. Beautiful, lots of trees, rivers, lakes. It's basically probably similar back where you're from, Canada. A lot of hunting and fishing. That's all you do. There's a small town. I think graduating class was like 90 people.
So that's what you grew up doing?
Yeah, just all we did is out to fish and, small town drama.
I grew up in a small forestry mining town, and like you said, lots of lakes, it's in the mountains. So
Yeah.
lots of fishing, outdoors. Grew up playing hockey in the wintertime and riding dirt bikes in the summer. And that was my childhood.
Yeah,
That's all I cared about was where the next tank of fuel was coming from.
Yes, yeah.
And begging dad to go to the gas station. What, you already burned through fucking 5 tanks of fuel already? Like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we didn't have hockey. A lot of us grew up either wrestling or football. But I wrestled since I was 5 and carried on through high school and then to college a little bit, but found out quick that college really wasn't for me.
Sure.
I kind of spent my mom's money at college and partied the whole time.
Bryce and I were just talking about this, and that's something that's been a goal of mine with the podcast, is just anybody who's interested and hears about trades or hears about line work can get on the internet, Google it, find this show, and maybe find some way in. And that's actually helped quite a few people just like find out some information about the trade and find a way in. So you can go like, that's not for me. School's not for me. Like, the trades sound pretty interesting and this job sounds pretty interesting. So like, how did you find your way into the trade?
So what got me into the trade was my uncles were linemen. So like I always saw that he had houses on the golf courses and stuff. Like, I was like, man, he always had nice snowmobiles.
The rich uncle?
Yeah. Like, dude, this guy's got everything. Like the rest of my family, like
He's broke as shit.
Yeah, there wasn't sawmills or loggers.
Yep.
I did logging for a while, and I did love it. It's so seasonal. Like,
Yeah.
you can do the summer, is great, but at the same time, you get hoot owl that kicks in around noon, so you're shut down, and you can only log for half the day because you got to watch for fire watch. And then springtime, you got spring break up. Winter, you get snow. So fall season's about the only time you can really do it, but at the same time, now you're cutting into your hunting. So, so logging just really wasn't what I wanted to do. So I always talked to my uncle because he always had like cool stuff, and I was like, he told me, he's like, get in the line trade. Well, after I kind of quit college, me and my best friend Andrew were sitting at our house one day, and he goes, let's go to line school. And I was like, well, I've been interested in that my entire life. So we signed up for Vista Line School up there in Spokane, Washington. And so we signed up for that, got accepted, and then they didn't like push you to go union by any means, but they kind of encouraged it. So we signed up all over. He went to Florida and down there at first, and then I came down here to Arizona. Flew down on a weekend on my 21st birthday. Went to Mill Avenue and was like, oh, yeah, that's where I want to be.
So heck yeah.
Yeah, so I've been doing it since I got in the trade. I was like 19, 20.
Where did you got into the trade, where did you spend majority of the beginning part of your
So I did do a year of groundmanship with working as a groundman out of Avista in Lewiston, Idaho. Found out real quick that I just didn't really have the mentality to work at a utility. So at that point, we signed up. I got the apprenticeship down here, and I did majority of my apprenticeship here. And then in 2008, when the housing market crashed, work was slowing down drastically, and a local utility back where I'm from, Northern Lights, had an opening for either a journeyman lineman or a hot apprentice, and I was a hot apprentice at the time, about ready to top out, so I applied. Did finish my apprenticeship up there through Local 77.
What happens after that?
So after that, I worked there for a couple of years, and kind of the same thing. I went through all that apprenticeship, and then working at small utilities kind of It's got its perks. It's fun. You know, you run around, do a lot of cool stuff, but at the same time, you're reading a lot of meters. You're not really doing a lot of actual line work. And I hit a breaking point, and I remember like wanting to go out and be back on the actual cruise and have fun. So I remember going in to my uncle and just saying, "Dude, I'm done." And he kind of thought I was joking, and I literally went in to the office the next day and said, "Here's my 2 weeks notice." At that time, a lot of the local guys who were, been there for their entire career thought I was throwing my career away. And I was like, dude, there's a ticket in my pocket that says I'll just go anywhere I want. And that's what I did. I made a call. I had a buddy actually working down in Texas, and they needed a guy. So it's like, I'll be there in 2 weeks. Let me finish this out because I wanted to get my vacation time all spent up. So packed up the house up there and took off down to Texas, started working down there for a while, kind of traveled around for a little bit.
What did you think of that move?
I thought it was a great move. At that time in my life, I was still young, didn't have any kids. So I was ready to just kind of travel the world. And
do you think, like, looking back on it, like that was what you needed to do?
Yeah, I definitely did. Especially like, and I'm not knocking anybody back home, but like, to go home to visit, they're kind of in the same circle, doing the repetitive kind of lifestyle. And I'm glad I left. I think I made the right choice. Clearly, it's done me pretty well in my career. So
I dig in on this topic with people because I just know that some people listening get curious about the different roads, right? Like, there's some that just want to work utility, and then there's some that want to go contracting, but they always ask those questions because they don't know about it. So someone that's worked for both, and with your mentality on it or whatever, your mindset on it, it was the right move for you.
Utilities, there's nothing wrong working there. Obviously, you're doing the same good stuff, same line work. At certain utilities, it's smaller municipalities and stuff like that, it's a little slower. It takes the right kind of mindset to work at some of those kind of places, just like it takes the right mindset to work in construction.
And they're for a reason. Like, they can be for a specific point in your life too, right? And that's one of the cool things about line work is the dial that you can turn. You can still go back and do that if you wanted to. Like, life circumstances change a little bit, and you wanted to go back, work utility, slow things down a little bit, you could. So talk about now you're beginning to like gather experience in the trade. What are some of the jobs you worked on, project places you went?
So from there, I kind of did a little of everything. I kind of traveled around doing distribution jobs here and there, and then started doing more transmission, and went out to California. Had a great experience out there. I mean, California is its own little breed, but the work out there is actually probably some of the funnest work I've ever done. It's your mind's always racing. It's never a dull moment when you're working out in California, but you got to deal with the traffic, which sucks. Some of the people, but I had a great time out there, and then kind of went back and started doing some more transmission work, and went back out to Texas, worked with a company called Atkinson Power at the time, and did a 500 line, did a 345 line out there with them, and had a blast out there. Actually, one of the superintendents I got out here on this job, he was my foreman on that job. We had a great time working with him. That's partially what I was wanting him out here for, because solid dude and definitely knows his stuff. So I've kind of always liked the transmission kind of work. I like the bigger projects. Working in town's fun, but everything changes every day. Some people like that, like where it's, you finish bowling on the next, so you whole different job, whole different task. I kind of like the bigger projects where a lot more going on, but at the same time, you just had a path and kind of follow it.
And sink your teeth into it for a while.
Yeah.
Have you always been interested? So obviously you have always been interested in that, because that's like that's getting into like management, and there's not a lot of people that are kind of like management minded either. Like wanting to set out and lay out jobs. There's like lots that, especially in the line trade, that just want to, give me my papers for the next week and just let me go work some bistro for that week, and that's something different the next.
So I've always been pretty goal driven and always wanted to like better myself. I don't like to settle on anything. So like I've always set goals as I was going through the career, like, hey, after 4 to 5 years, I want to be a foreman. Did that. Then after that, I wanted to be, move up to become a general foreman. Did that. So I always kept progressing the next level and working hard to get to that point. So that's kind of I've always followed that. I've told a lot of my friends to this day, everybody's like, you ever miss being a lineman? I do. I get there's days I want to go back to just showing up with a cup of coffee and go, where do you want me, bro? And the phone, like, when they start proving you're going to get cancer of the ear for talking on the phone, I guarantee you I will have cancer.
Yeah.
But it's also something like I've always wanted to keep moving up in management, and I don't ever want to settle. Like, I always want to move up to the next position, move up. Like, I've just always been really driven that way. And I stayed with Sturgeon for a long time. I was with that company forever, and I thought that was the progression. I wanted to stick with them, but you start picking up on things as you're moving up in those management positions and start seeing, okay, the industry is moving this direction. Now, is my company following that or trying to get ahead of that? And I kind of had that feeling. We weren't really rolling that way. And guy, I'm going to name drop here, but Alex Phillips was one of my bosses, and I always kind of followed him. And he was same way. He's always been driven, goal oriented, and he kept making comments like, hey, we need to do this. We got to start doing this. When he wasn't seeing it, he jumped over here to Quanta, and I started talking to him and started really diving into Quanta, what they're about. And I made the jump over this way. And I'll be honest with you, every day to this day, I'm blown away at the new things that this company can do. The resources we can pull, how they look farther into the future for these future jobs that are coming up. It's extremely impressive that they invest in that and not sitting back like some of the other, I'm not bashing any other contractors, but I think a lot of them just kind of ride the wave of like, hey, we're in this industry now. Like, you see it in this line of work where distribution jobs are the big thing for 5 to 10 years. They're catching up on the grid in towns. And then you get the transmission era where I feel like we're in right now. We're just starting it, to be honest with you, the transmission jobs coming up. I feel like a lot of the contractors kind of just ride that flow of like, hey, when this is the era, we got to start pushing this way. Where I think Quanta does a very good job is they've foreseen this a long time ago coming, and they jumped on it right then and made those leaps and bounds to make it happen. And it shows. Like I said, every day I'm just blown away. Like, we have that capability here. This is amazing.
So stay on this and talk about your position on the job that you're on now, SunZia project. Talk about the job itself, and like, because Bryce and I just touched on it, but this is what I wanted to dig a little deeper with you on. It's just like that scale of what Quanta can accomplish collectively on one job, like literally do everything.
So SunZia is one of them jobs that is one of the biggest it is the biggest renewable project in the history of the country, and it has a lot of huge challenges in it. And like, for example, here in Arizona, we got the Page Canyon where we had no access for 8 miles. Only way you could get to it was by helicopter, and that alone took a lot of pre-planning, trying to figure out how we're going to do it. And I won't lie, we changed it multiple times, bringing in resources to talk about stuff, bringing in the OPUs, the helicopter companies, and Doug Dixon's coming in and sit down. And I mean, all of us had a plan, changed it. That's the one thing that I do love about line work is plan A and plan B never actually happen. They're the first ones to get thrown out the window. But going back into the topic of like how Quanta was able to do this, it really is the only company that could pull off a task like this. I don't feel like any other contractor, and I'm not going to bash on them, but I don't feel like any other contractor could have pulled a project like this off. With the resources that were needed, and that goes all the way from our environmental teams, our civil teams, our construction teams, the steel crews, the wire crews. I mean, I truly would put up our wire crews against anybody in the industry. I think we have some of the best. It is just all around the project management side of things. Like, a lot of people don't think about, when you look at these big projects, they don't think about like the project management side, all the paperwork, the reportings, the trackers, all that stuff, like a lot of people kind of overlooked that. That takes extremely talented individuals to do that. It also takes leadership above upper management to back your guys and give them the support that they need, and not just say, hey, here's your project, peace out. The leaders all the way up to the tip top are even involved on this. We're helping out, supporting. Like it's been a project where it isn't all hands on deck kind of job, and it's shown, and it's really helped us progress through it.
What were some of the biggest challenges with the job?
Besides Page Canyon, the heat for a lot of these guys, I'll be honest with you, a lot of these guys, which was neat
From the mountain states.
Yeah, we had a lot from the Northwest. We had a ton from the East Coast, the Midwest. Like our wire crew with Casey Johnson's crews, those guys have never worked together before. Majority of those guys are literally from all over the country, came together for the first time, and they meshed really well. So that was a big lift there. A big, in my opinion, could be a real hazard with getting the wrong guys to it. But we preached on early, and Casey backed it, and he made him guys stick to his positive attitudes and keeping that crew morale high the whole time to make those transitions and make these difficult tasks work and keep everybody flowing and keeping them happy. Some of the big tasks are obviously environmental. That was some of our, those are, you probably know this as well, is these projects are getting harder and harder with the environmental impacts and the restrictions. So we had a lot of that. Pushback from the locals. Obviously, you got your groups that don't want this project to go. We did a really good job, I feel like, on the public relationship side, kind of turning that tide with the locals and kind of joining into some of their local events and helping out. So there was a lot of big lifts on everything. And just besides that, it's a massive project. Just here in Arizona, we did 203 miles. And our wire crews started last April, and here we are 1 week away and they're done. Like 203 miles in a year is a huge, huge task. And it was done very well. Like the crews we had were top notch, some of the best leaders I've ever seen. And our safety record. And that is another topic that I definitely could get into with Quanta, is the safety in this company. That's the culture within Quanta is by far, hands down, the best in the industry.
What do you think?
It's not a smoke and mirror show.
What makes that the way it is? Is there one thing, or is it?
No, I think it's just the message they get across to everybody, that, and the backing of the leaders above.
Yeah.
You got people all the way from Duke and Reggie and Carl saying our foremans are what are the heartbeat of this company, or, of all of Quanta. And it really is. It's the backing of everybody up above, telling your guys that we have your back. We will support you in any way. And at no point has anybody backtracked on any of that.
Yeah.
Even all the way up to my bosses like Kevin Bigelow and Dylan. Anytime we needed anything done, regardless of cost, if safety issues, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's impressive, because I've seen it within this industry, within companies, that we preach safety, but when it came down to that dollar sign, it was, let's think about this. I will say 100% that is not Quanta's MO. It is, we will not do anything unsafe. And if you need it, it is coming, and it has happened. We've seen it here. We had some EPZ mats we needed instantly. We had them ordered up. Yeah. And EPZ mats aren't cheap.
No, they're not easy to get either.
They're not.
Yeah.
But that goes back to the resources of Quanta. It's, hey, get this out there to the men, regardless of cost. And it was shipped like within weeks. We were on site getting delivered out to the right of way. It was impressive.
Your progression from lineman to construction manager of like a massive mountain, the biggest project in North America. How does this happen? Like, how do you get from that? Because there's a lot of people that there's a lot of guys that want to follow paths like that, or not follow a path like that, but make their own path like that. They are goal oriented. They want to go from foreman to, and they just see no progression within a company, or they get discouraged because they see no other way to get anywhere higher than like a general foreman. I hear that all the time. Like, how do I become anything other than a general foreman? How does this progression work for you? What are some things that people need to like start doing maybe earlier?
I would say more like invest into the company, like reach out and say, hey, what kind of training can I get, kind of helping out. When you start showing management that you're bought into the company and you're there for them, I felt like it helped me out to get that progression. Like what got me going from the foreman to the general foreman position on a transmission job was, I don't know if it's arrogance or just me. I don't really know, cockiness maybe.
Yep.
There was a 230 line that was coming up here in town, and I wanted to run it. And I was a foreman at the time, and I had done pretty well on a few of the projects that we had locally. And I called up our district manager, and he said, hey, we just landed that 230 job. And I was like, heck yeah. I was like, I want that. Give me that opportunity. And I hadn't run a big project before. At that time, it wasn't really that big. It was only 30 miles, but it was a big job to me. And I just took that confidence that I had and said, give me a shot at it. And if you don't like it, you can fire me. Like, sometimes you got to take that risk and don't be afraid to speak up. And obviously it worked out. We went out there, we did a very good job on that project. And Alex Phillips actually at that time was my boss, and we did a good job on that. And he kind of carried me going on to the next projects and jumped to a few other projects. And to Harry Allen, which was another 500 line we did, and did a good job on that. So I just think it just kind of kept progressing. And then when Quanta got SunZia, Alex was asking if I was interested, and obviously I had the opportunity and I was not going to turn it down. No, like, give me that shot. I'll do the best I can. Obviously I'm not going to be perfect at it. There isn't a guy out there that's going to knock a job out of the park that has nailed everything.
No matter what they say.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I say, to be a good leader, you got to know you got flaws, and you got to have faults. Like, clearly there's a bunch of stuff on this job that I wish I would have done a little bit differently. And I think it took me a while to humble myself to going, hey, dude, you need to also get constructive criticism, because you got to learn what you did wrong. And you also need to sit back and look back at yourself and go, I know I didn't do this right. Mm-hmm. And I think that helps you out going to the next projects and having that talk with your management and saying, hey, could have done this better. I would have done this. And I think that shows them going, all right, he's maturing enough to where.
So you think bringing it up, like you bringing it up, is better than just letting it get brought up, like coming up, being forefront, being humble, saying, look, I could do this better, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you got to bring it up. I mean, obviously there's going to be guys that really shine, and leaders are going to catch on to it and say, this kid's too talented, he's going to do well. Yeah. But like you made the comment, I mean, there's thousands of linemen, thousands of foremen out there, thousands of GFs out there that want to move up. A lot of times you're going to get overlooked. If you sit back and you don't say nothing, you're going to get overlooked. So I've never been that guy. I am goal oriented. I've got a goal set in my career that I want to hit, and I'm not going to let anybody take that from me. I'm going to fucking eat your ass alive, and I'm going to get it.
I love that. And I don't think it's cockiness, it's confidence. Like you said, it's confidence, but you also got to be able to back up the confidence.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guys say that they just want that, I want the truck, I want the job, I want the pay bump, I want the responsibilities, and then they got nothing to back it up, or they don't even try once they get it. They just wanted the clout of getting it.
Yeah. A lot of people do that. The one thing when you move up into these kind of positions is you got to learn you're not going to be...
Well, maybe not this position, but like for foreman anyway.
Yeah. I know for like this position, it was a kind of I wouldn't say eye-opener for me. It was an eye-opener, but it also kind of was like, that's not really what I thought, because I thought I'd be out in the field a lot more. I thought I'd be out actually still pulling wire and stuff like that, but when you've got 280 people working out there and all these different tasks going, different OPUs going, you're just constantly being pulled in every direction at the same time. So it's definitely a different aspect of it that you didn't anticipate.
dig in on that a little further for people, because there's a lot of people with the same ideas that you have right now, or you had, thinking it was going to be one thing, but it's completely different. So what are some of those things that you talked about? A couple of them.
Yeah. So like, I honestly thought I'd be out there a lot more. I'd be out in the field a lot more than I was. I definitely didn't anticipate as much of the office side of stuff, the meetings, the emailing. Obviously emails were always normal, but I thought I'd have
You're held to them a lot more.
Yeah, you're held to a lot more meetings. Like my days are booked with just meeting after meeting. Yeah, I thought I'd have a little more free time to go out there to visit the crews, and that's what the other bad thing about when you're in SunZia is you get out there, it's remote. There's no cell phone service, so you can't get on meetings. So to go out there to visit the crew, and I'm not gonna lie, I did do this a few times purposely, but you go out to the crews to get away from calls and get away from meetings.
For sure.
Because you're not gonna get on them. You have no service.
Well, that's normal, I think.
Flippy you here. Yeah. But no, it was a fun job. I love it. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I'm already kind of working on the next one. It's a fun job. You just gotta take the crap from the guys, because they start picking on you at this point, because you're in office.
You're one of them now.
Yeah,
you drank the Kool-Aid.
yeah. I heard that today, actually. But you know what? You gotta have them, and like I said, I've got a goal set in my mind that where I want to go in this career, and I'm gonna get there. So,
do you have a process for goal setting, or is it just
keep working hard as hard as you can for it? I don't do notes or anything like that, or diaries like some people do. But
how do you develop these goals that you want then? Like,
I just get in my head, like once I get to like this construction manager position, now I'm looking, all right, I kind of get them from who I'm working with that's above me, and saying, all right, hey, I see his career path. I see what he does for the job. It's intriguing. And I kind of do the pros and cons within the people that are above me.
Yep.
And I kind of pick, all right, that's the kind of path that I want to go. And then I kind of pick their brains, like, how'd you get here? Like, what'd you do? What kind of training did you have for this? Because obviously, as you know, in your apprenticeship and then throughout line work, you don't really get the training when you start moving to these positions.
No.
You got to kind of take that on your own and ask for those kind of trainings. So that's kind of how I kind of weed out, like, what I want to do is when I move to the next step, look at my leaders above me, pick up as much information as I can out of them, see what they're doing. And if it's intriguing enough to me, then I'm like, yeah, that's where I want to go. If it's not, then I'm like, I kind of go a different direction.
So for those foremen that are wanting to progress further, and they're at that foreman level right now, because that's probably the level listening to the show, so if they invest in the company, they can invest in the company a little bit more, show more interest in wanting to be, a company guy, so to say, whatever, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Just more invested in, not so flip-floppy as linemen can be. So that's one thing they can do.
That's one thing. Like you said, you get a lot of guys that are like linemen who they're true tramps.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Need them in the industry. We got to have them. But then there's guys that, are probably a lot like me or a lot like others that want to progress farther up the chain and not really be that line tramp. So yeah, if you want to take that kind of path, speak up. Say, hey, I'd like to show up at the next project as a general foreman. Don't be afraid to go in and ask. What are they going to do? Tell you no? Okay, to tell me no, big deal. Like, you put in effort to show that you wanted it. You might not get that job that time. But the next job that comes up, I guarantee he's going to, you know what, he asked me if you'd be interested in this. Mm-hmm. So maybe that'll spark interest in them. We'll go and give you a shot. Don't be afraid to speak up is all I'm really trying to get at is, well, sitting back really doesn't really get you anywhere.
One thing I've just been around leadership, in upper leadership in this organization, as well as being around field level guys. So upper leadership's constantly saying we need to get out to the field more. And even yourself just saying that, but also saying, like, my days are stacked with meetings and this and that. Have you thought of any ways of how we can bridge that gap some more? Because we do need leadership getting into the field more and the field interacting more with leadership in order to learn and progress and, get to the next levels that they want to get to. You have any ideas or thoughts around that?
So I tried in this job to not schedule meetings on certain days just so I could strictly be out in the field.
Yeah.
Obviously that doesn't
booked for.
Yeah, obviously that didn't last very long. Like I had Fridays were my days. We're not doing anything on Fridays, no meetings on Fridays.
Yeah.
Fridays are my busiest days.
Yeah.
So no, honestly, it is a difficult thing to do. Because like I said, if you're in a remote area, you're not going to be able to get out to the field and still make your calls, still make your meetings. And those meetings are usually important to the point where you could be slowing down other OPUs or risking their jobs to keeping them busy. So you have to be on those calls. They're important. So that's the difficult part. Now it's getting better with Starlink. We did use it out here. Even then, it was a little sketchy. Obviously, it's getting better, but technology, I think, is the only way to really bridge that gap to where you can still make your meetings, you can still do your planning, and still be out there with the crews. Because it's difficult. Like you want to be out there. I know there's days like I've left and just went out.
Yeah.
Then you come back to 400 so you're just like, well, I am screwed.
It's going to take me the next 2 weeks to catch up with.
Yeah.
On the communication side of things, communication is key in the trade, obviously. What have you learned about how to be an effective communicator? And is there any lessons that you could pass along?
My biggest thing that I have had to learn even with this job is because there's so much going on, I've had to start writing stuff down because even my guys, they make fun of me because I'll bitch button them when they call. Well, it's not that I don't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
It's that I'm on another call, and half the time I'll try to make that, as soon as I hang up, try to call that person back, but I've missed 3 other calls. So I'll call them back, and then during that call, you miss 3 others. So by the time you know it, you're just stacked with backup calls that you got to make, and that's where you're on the phone till 8:30 at night, and half the time you don't want to call your guys at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I've done that to Casey a couple of times, that he's in bed. I'm like, sorry, dude, I just haven't had the chance to make it back to you. So I've had to try to get to writing things down. One thing I can say, and it's bit me in the butt, is our text messaging. We'll get group chats going, but it gets lost in the text messaging, and you got to get it on the emails. That is a big thing that I know I'll openly admit I've got to get better at emailing and communicating that way, because a lot of it's just text messaging and phone calls.
And you can't find it again.
Or you got to scroll and scroll and scroll, but it's at that moment they're texting you about a certain problem or a subject. So it's like, all right, well, you're just answering that way.
What can the field do? Like, what can crews do to be like a very effective crew for you?
Honestly,
How can they help you the best?
Just the communicating part, just relaying to me what they've got accomplished for the day, what their goal is tomorrow. Trying to stay ahead so those crews could go, but it was also those crews communicating, hey, we're wrapping up this one today. I need to be there tomorrow. So having that communication between your men has helped out big time. And like I said, a lot of it's going back to the text messaging, and that's where on the next job I'll probably push harder on the email, so I can get that chain going. That communication has been it's a key factor to keep those crew going, especially during bird season, the restrictions and environmental.
You brought up Kevin Bigelow, and I heard Kevin, I was at president's meeting, and he gave this absolutely brilliant monologue about how important foremen are in the organization, in every organization, but like in our organization. What's your thoughts on how important the foreman level is?
The foreman level is the most important part. That's what keeps all of our companies, all of us working. If you don't have good foremen and good leaders that are, good foremen that are good leaders, I'll be honest with you, you're not going to be around much longer. The company won't be. The fact that, Quanta in general, and be down more specific, is some in the trainings that we give our foremen, the basically the support, the backing. It really shows within this company here that I'm a part of, is these guys, they get all the backing they need. They get the support. They have some of the best foremen I seriously have ever worked around. Our steel crews, I've never seen steel crews that have been so dialed in and so safe in my entire life. Those guys are, and they've been around with this company and been around Quanta for, I think, majority of their careers. So yeah, Kevin is spot on that. The foremans are the heartbeat of Quanta. Without foremen, we ain't nothing.
What do you think the industry can do to better support them?
Just honestly give them the support that they need, the backing of them, give them the safety, the tools that they need. You know, you got to kind of, and honestly, you kind of got to give them, in my personal opinion, this is me speaking here, kind of give them an aspect of like, hey, here's how we're performing. Don't give them the financials of it, but kind of give them the idea of like, hey, this is where you're performing at. It helps them buy into
some like metrics, some performance metrics.
Yeah, performance metrics. So where every good foreman, every good leader is competitive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
They're all gonna
every lineman.
Yeah, they're gonna all want to outdo the next guy. So you gotta give them that. It kind of gives them a little aspiration, but not just that. Like the safety side of things, you gotta give them the support there on the safety side. Give them good safety leads that are out there, and that go out there and not just, you know, constantly pick at them.
Sure.
Give them the support that they need and give them the tooling, everything they need to do the job safely. In trainings, put them through training. I know
what kind of training.
I know we do like the TCM 101s and 102 leadership trainings.
Yeah.
Get them into that, kind of showing them.
Do you think project management training and stuff like that is good?
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
I never had that on for a foreman, but I think that'd be a good aspect of it. I think that would help. But any kind of training you can get the guys to kind of help them out. Basically, you just put more tools in their belt to do the job. I mean, I've seen it with a lot of companies that says, here's your keys.
Yeah.
And
clipboard.
Yeah, and here's your job, get after it. And then you're setting that kid up for failure. Quanta, in my opinion, doesn't do that. They put them through all these trainings, the leadership trainings, kind of shows them what we want to see out of you, and then also lets them know that they can speak up to say, what do you want out of us?
Yeah.
And like I said, I've seen some of the best foremen I've ever seen here on this project.
How do you build a good culture on a project of this size?
Well, to be honest, you got to keep the attitudes high, keep the morale of the crews good.
What are some ways to do that?
Ways to barbecue, stuff like that. Invest back in the men.
Sure.
And like you start getting guys that are just constantly ragging on the job or being negative, get rid of them.
I think that's the biggest one right there. Is you got to start getting rid of the weeds.
You don't want to be that asshole, but at the same time, I don't want you on my job because cancer spreads so fast. So the moment you start seeing negativity, you find out where that source is and just cut your losses, get them out of there. But honestly, we haven't had that. I feel like this job the crew morale has been good. Obviously, you're going to have some, you're going to have some ups and downs, especially a project this big with this many men. You're going to have so many different personalities out there. And a lot of times, some of it may not be that guy's that bad of a hand. He may just be on the wrong crew, maybe with the wrong people. And that's taken me time to learn, because for the longest time on other projects, it was like, get him going. Well, maybe he's not a bad hand. Maybe he just was the wrong crew or wrong guys.
Yeah,
wrong personalities. Because I've done that recently. I just moved a guy. I was like, hey, he ain't working out with that crew. I'm going to put you over here. And majority of the time it works out. There's obviously those ones that just don't. And at that point, then, hey, sorry, bud.
Yeah.
See you on the next one, maybe.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge having a good culture. What part of retention plays into that too?
As
trying not to lose guys,
trying not to lose guys. That's That's hard. I
Because
think
like a constant revolving door isn't
Yeah.
necessarily great for that either.
it's hard, especially here. We're not technically not right now. I mean, we're at the end of this job, but this time last year, I was getting a little nervous as we're starting to get into the hotter months.
Sure.
I mean, nobody really wants to be in Arizona in June, July, and August. It's 120 degrees, and that bullshit saying you'll get acclimated. I've been down here since 2006, and I am still not acclimated.
No.
So yeah, you do worry about that. The best thing is just, like I said, it goes back to keeping the crew morale high, reinvesting back into the guys, giving them the tools that they need, working with them. Like, we made some adjustments, like before it came to hours, bumping the guys from 610s to 512s, give them that weekend off, because a lot of times you work in the summers down here, you need 2 days to recoup on the week.
For sure.
So it's keeping the crew morale is kind of what keeps that the retention of those guys sticking around. But you're still going to have the guys revolving. But to be honest with you, I mean, it's kind of a hard subject on this job, because a lot of these guys have been here since the beginning. They didn't want to leave. And I think that goes to show
That's something, right?
Summit and Quanta and as a whole, people want to work here. People want to be a part of this family. So I credit a lot to that, to be honest with you. Obviously, like you said, you're going to have your guys that just bounce, but
Yeah.
I feel like majority of these guys are bought into the Quanta family and they want to stick around.
What do you think younger hands need to hear that they're just getting into the trade or just entering jobs like this or exploring line work? What's something that they need to hear?
Oh, you can go for days on this topic, but I'll tell you things that they don't need to be doing is listen to that mentality of, we're journeyman linemen, we're going to go get trashed every night and go get to work at 5:30 in the morning, hungover. Like that used to be a big thing when I was coming up, was
Those days are gone.
you hit the bar until 2-3 o'clock in the morning and then get to work at 6. And I did it. I did that lifestyle, and it was, looking back at it, is the dumbest thing I ever did. So honestly, I think that's some of the thing. I think our leaders need to, tell these younger guys of, hey, that's not the life. Please dive into your books during your apprenticeship, study your asses off, go to work, do your job, and then go enjoy life. So many jobs that I've done across this country that I couldn't even tell you what was in that city, because you work from dark to dark, or you work from dark to get off and you go straight to a bar. I mean, I've traveled all over, and I look back at it, I was like, dude, I didn't explore anything. So my biggest thing was just have fun, do your job, do it safely, learn as much as you can, even from the guys that they are saying that are bad hands. Learn from them, because you're still going to learn good habits from a bad guy, and you're going to learn bad habits. It's like, I do not want to do that. So learn as much as you can and go enjoy life at the same time. Like, this job's going to be here forever.
And set some goals.
Yeah.
Don't make like just becoming a lineman. Too many people just get that focus. I get it. Like, you're an apprentice, you're trying to just get your ticket, and then
Yeah.
everything's solved. You're making the big bucks, and you can go make your own choices and go where you want now. But like, what's the next goal? What's the next target?
Yeah.
Like, keep making targets like you have done.
Yeah. The other thing is financials. Don't get caught up in buying the biggest, baddest truck on the parking lot, the biggest, baddest fifth wheel in the parking lot as well.
You say that, it's the first thing they freaking do.
First thing.
Every time. No matter how many times you tell them that. I was an instructor at the Lazy Q for 2 years, teaching the line school there. Every single one of them that came through there, you drill it into their head, and then by the end, they had a camper, they had a new truck. And it's just like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
They're not even an apprentice yet.
Yeah.
And you're already talking about the camper you're going to buy and the truck.
Some of these guys are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt already. And it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, you don't need that yet. First off, you're an apprentice. You're still technically
Fireable.
Yeah, you're fireable. And then you're stuck with those payments. You're not going to find another job. I hate to say it, you won't find another job that's going to pay as much as this does.
Not when you're 22.
Yeah, especially at 22 years old.
Crypto, maybe.
Get me going on that path. No, that's the other thing, the finances of it. Invest heavily in your retirement. That's one thing I could tell these younger guys. I got one of my other biggest goals. 55 years old, I want to retire. I want to be done sitting on my porch in Idaho, fishing, hunting. That's it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'll probably do like consulting here and there, but I'm just saying, like 55, I'm done. I've watched too many guys that have retired at 65 to 70 years old. They finally retire and they croak a year later, 2 years later.
I was just talking about this with Bryce, actually. I've been in the trade long enough now where I seen people that were, it's not like a foreman position when I came into the trade, go through the rest of their career in the trade, retire for a couple of years, and are dead now.
Yeah.
And like I've seen this life cycle now, and I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
Like I saw like they didn't do anything. Like you said, they didn't explore anything. They just worked right-of-ways their whole career, and 2 years out of retirement, they're dead.
They're gone.
They're
Yeah.
gone.
They need to set goals, and not only that, just set goals outside of work. Like, enjoy life, have fun. I do, it's a stress reliever for me, but jiu-jitsu is the biggest part of my life outside of work, and just traveling around doing tournaments. And like I just competed in December at Worlds in Vegas, took second place there. Like my next goal is to win Worlds next year. So let these guys like set goals outside of work and enjoy life while you're at it.
What are some lessons from martial arts that could apply?
The discipline, for sure. And I mean, really, yeah, discipline's the biggest one. Staying cut in, diving into it in the training, working hard, work ethic. And healthy eating. That gets harder in this position as you're driving a lot. You're staying eating shit food. But yeah, no, it's the discipline. And kind of setting your mind free of work. You got to live a healthy life. You've got to be having an escape route. You got to be able to walk away for a minute, let your mind hit reset. And to me, that jiu-jitsu's done that for me. I notice it when I don't go to class for a week or two. Dude, I'm a cranky son of a bitch. I get stressed out.
I just need to train.
Yeah. And I go to training and I'm perfectly fine. Like any issues that come my way, I'm like, yeah, fuck it. All right, that's good. Let's go.
Yeah.
We can get around this. But it helps with in my personal opinion, it helps with my mental state of mind.
I think that I talk about mental health a lot on the show. So I like hearing you say that, because I don't think people take into consideration like physical fitness outside of work. A lot of people go, okay, well, I go to work. That's my gym. I don't need to go to the gym. I don't need to do any activity after. But I disagree. I think you need to do that. Yeah. Maybe it touches on some of like your strength and conditioning or your cardio conditioning being at work. But like you need to get away from the work environment and get doing something active.
Yes.
I've made that flip in the last year as well. I've done it at different points in life, but in the last year, like really put the discipline to it, put the throttle down, and it's an absolute world of difference for mental health, physical health, everything.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable. Big believer in that.
Yeah, it's mental health. I'm not saying we're comparable to the military guys, but there is so many linemen out there that are struggling with mental health that are too tough to basically come out and say it. Yeah. I've seen it a couple times. And, we touched on this subject. We had a crew stand down, and this was one of the hot topics. And I tell you, there was 4 people standing in that meeting that I know were going through some real shitty parts of their life. But when you try to talk to them about it, they didn't want to. And mental health is a huge thing. And I mean, we're seeing it across just in general with the public and across this world. People need to be able to reach out and talk about it. I'm not saying like go see a counselor by any means, but we're all brothers in this trade. That's the brotherhood. It's just call your buddy up.
Yeah.
Say, dude, I'm struggling here. What helped, like I said, going back to jiu-jitsu, that helps me with my mental state, with my struggles. It just kind of opens my mind up, like helps me process things.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I had a therapist on the show a couple weeks ago. Really great conversation. We talked a lot about mental health and trades because her father was a lineman as well. So she's got the full spectrum of dealing with, mental health issues, but also mental health issues with linemen. She's kind of specialized in it with linemen. And you just got to look at it like mental health, like physical health. It's just, so if therapy is what you need, it's just one form of it. It's like jiu-jitsu. Like you're going to work on your physical health in a bunch of different ways. Maybe you're a runner, maybe you go lift weights, maybe you do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So mental health shouldn't be anything different. Just find ways to work on it.
Yeah.
Maybe you got to meditate. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just got to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe you just got to go find a hobby that helps you blow off steam, but get away from substance abuse. If you're struggling with substance abuse, you got to find a real way out of that. Because that's going to bring you down every time.
And it actually makes it worse because you're just compounding your problems, especially the drinking. I've seen a lot of guys, good friends of mine. I won't lie. I went through a stage of it where I was pounding whiskey like it was going out of style. I've got a lot of friends that are still doing it, and I try to talk to them about alcohol that's not the ticket. That is not what's going to make it better. Matter of fact, that is going to make it worse. But it's hard for them when they've got that built into their mentality of I'm too tough to go bring it up. I don't have problems. Well, if you're telling yourself you don't have problems and you're putting a fifth of whiskey around you, you've got problems. Don't be afraid to talk to a buddy, like you said. Just call up your best friend. Yeah. He might flip you a little shit, but at the same time, I promise you, if he's a really good friend, he's going to care.
That's probably the right friend, is the one that flip you a little bit of shit.
Yeah.
That's when you know you got some. It's that friend that's actually razzing you, calling you out on your bullshit, bringing things up. That's the one that you want. You don't want the friend that's never says anything, about you negative, or doesn't bring your shit up, or poke you a little bit. Yeah. It's crazy because I think every single one of us, I have three people that it was direct mental health problems that took their lives. And that's just 3 that I know. If you go one layer deeper, I could probably list 10.
More.
We all have, every single one of us has that story. So to say that it's not a real thing is, it's silly. Work on it, guys.
Yeah.
Just work on it. Some best way you can. Couple more questions. Can wrap it up. What's another lesson? Give me a lesson from the trade that the trade's taught you that's changed who you are, not just on the job, but as a man.
Oh. Guy that wears quite a pit. I would say, honestly, the work ethic has really taught me a lot. I grew up in the Northwest around farming and logging and stuff like that. So that was kind of already there, but line work is a whole different kind of work. The late nights, the working out of town, the work ethic of just, hey, we've got 8 hours to get 12 hours of work here. Let's get this done. That's kind of helped give me that driven lifestyle of work your ass off, work hard for what you got or what you want, and you're going to get it. Also was one of the big things that's kind of taught me is the friendships. You really do build a brotherhood on this trade, and you have people from high school that you met, that you grew up with in high school, and you don't see them for, say, 8-10 years because you're gone. Come home, just like nothing happened. You feel like you were just with them yesterday. I feel like that this trade is that same way. So building that brotherhood has really opened my eyes up to going to, this truly is a network of brothers that you didn't know you had. That's one. I mean, you go on for everything that just kind of really helped build me up, or build a guy up, I should say.
I love that one about the network too, though, because that's also something I've been bringing up quite a bit on the podcast, for not just on the podcast, but I've been talking to some younger kids. Quanta sponsors a high school rodeo team. So I was talking to them a couple weeks ago and just brought up how important your network is and how network is like currency. Like, and it's something that you don't have when you're younger, and you don't realize how important it is until you actually are older. So if you realize that now and you start really pouring into building a solid network over the next few years, it can pay you back in ways that, and not even pay you back, but just like in so many ways, it's great. You need somebody to reach out to for mental health issues. They're there. You need somebody that can help get you into position for a new job that you really want to get. It's there. But if you don't invest in the network, and that's one thing about line work, is it's such a tight, small community. It really is.
Yeah.
It seems big, but it's not.
No, it's not.
1 or 2 steps away, they know you. Your reputation's important. Your network is important. And so it's a really valid point you brought up.
That's a good key point, is with the network is follow, and for the younger guys, find those crews. You're going to hear about them, who are your A teams, your solid leaders. Set a goal to go work for those guys. To go pick up what information you can. I mean, I did that. I've heard about, I started out with a guy named Ronnie Sorensen, amazing leader, jumped in with him. I've always heard about the Clay Thompsons, worked with him. Alex Phillips, had the opportunity, jumped in with him. Kevin Bigelow was one of the biggest names that I have out in this trade when I got in. Everybody knows Kevin. The moment I had the opportunity that I was going to come work for Kevin, that was, I'm not going to lie, it was a big deciding factor of mine. So yeah, find those network of those big names in the industry who are top leaders and top crews, and get your ass on them crews. Go work for those people and pick up what you can, because it's like jiu-jitsu. I'm going to revert back to jiu-jitsu on this too. Is as you're starting out as a white belt or a blue belt, don't train with white belts. Don't train with blue belts. Pick the purple, the brown, and the black belts to train with. Because if you train with someone better than you, you're eventually going to be better than them. If you keep settling on mediocrity, you'll never be good. And I carry that into line work of, if I keep following guys or working with guys who aren't that great, because I'm going to be honest here, and everybody's going to probably get pissed at me. There's some shitbag fucking linemen out there that you don't want to work with.
Dude.
And don't stay with them. You just go out, find the best guys out there, work with them, pick up every ounce of knowledge you can, and jump in with them. That's all I can say. Like, I'll tell you right now, anybody has the opportunity to work with some of these guys on this project, jump on it. The leaders that I've seen out here, I'm super jealous of some of the crews and teams that have been put together out here that I wish I was, if I was a younger self, I would make goddamn sure I was on their crews.
Hell yeah.
It's extremely impressive. I'm going to name drop here a couple, but like Casey Johnson, Clayton Hickenbothams, those guys have some of the best crews I have ever seen. And then the steel crews with like Caswell and his team, and Ryan Teicher. It's another one that's a huge name. Jump in with those guys. They're some of the best leaders in the industry. And if you've got a chance, soak up every ounce of information you can, because it's only going to make you better.
I love that. And that's actually something you can take into, all aspects of the trade, even like when you get up in management, keep like sourcing those people that are way above you and work with them.
Just
try to work with them.
Pick up much information as you can out of them, because I mean, they're there for a reason. They made it to those positions for a reason. They're good at what they do. So if you can pick up a little bit of information out of them, soak that in, just going to make you better. All you're doing is adding more tools to your belt.
Love that. Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
I hope you guys got some value out of that episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I just want to draw your awareness to a couple of other things. So we make these podcasts, yes, but it's not the only thing that we put out as far as content. Our social medias are full of valuable cuts from the podcast itself, as well as just a bunch of other educational stuff and entertainment. So go follow us at Powerline Podcast on all social media platforms, and then also YouTube. I don't think that a lot of you are aware of this, But we don't just load these podcasts onto YouTube. We also make vlogs, which are super educational, entertaining, great place to direct people to learn about the industry, learn about the trade, or just learn about what's going on within either Quanta or the Powerline industry in general. So hit up our YouTube channel. Again, it's at Powerline Podcast. You can catch those vlogs on there. We also load a bunch of other extra content in video form. We try to up the quality every time we do this. We try to up that quality. So hit up the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subbed to all those platforms. Appreciate you guys. Hope to see you again soon. We'll see you again soon. Peace.